It says we're live.
I know. It needs to kick in on Vim, and then I press go live, and then it's a little delay, a little lag. All right.
It's like an engine in the Antarctic. You got to warm it up first.
There we go. Welcome, everyone, to another CryptoManiacs podcast on the glorious Hive blockchain. Stream if your viewing pleasure on Vim.tv, on Twitter, too. We're always on Twitter because we love that web, too, baby. We love it. Task, I'm excited for today, mainly because it's a fellow degenerate.
Pretty much. Sounds about right.
And I'm excited for today, man. Task, it's been so long since I've seen you, a whole 24 hours, not even 25 hours. So,
you go the other way.
Other way, 22 hours.
Eastern time yesterday, 23.
I suck. Anyways, we got a guest, man. Are you excited? Reseller is back.
Yes, we got a
repeat
visitor and to it, and we always like that. And I think last time we had a wonderful conversation, and you and I even got a couple stocking stuffers, John. So I was thank you for that, reseller. And yeah, I'm glad that he's back. And it's a great time for all you Splinterlands fans and for us to have Splinterlands show, because evidently there's a lot of stuff going on. There you go. Yep, that's so some physical cards.
It's always near and dear to my heart, man. So I have it here. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'll have to send you guys some more stuff. There's secret stuff in the works, and so. Well, by the way, real quick, are you guys going to Splinterfest by any chance?
This is okay. So I'm crossing my fingers. This is why,
John. The angle you did that looked like you were giving us all the birds.
No, I'm not. No, it looks like I'm giving the finger. No, crossing the fingers. No, give you the finger already. It's been 5 minutes. No, it's like. Me and my partner talked about it because we've actually never met in real life, and we're like, dude, why don't we just go to Vegas for Splinterfest? It'd be great. And he's like, yeah, man, let's go. I'm like, okay, one problem. I'm Canadian. I don't know. I can get into America, but because I don't have my vaccine, I can't get back into Canada, apparently. I'm not totally sure. If I drive, which Vegas is not that far, like it's like a little less than a day away from me, so I could get there pretty easily. It's just I don't know if the government will let me.
Yeah, that's so messed up. Isn't that crazy? We live in a time where that's just a thing, and oh my god, man,
it's so crazy. Like I'm good to go, man. Like it's and I know Hive Fest is going on. There was no way I could get, because I'd have to take a plane, and I know the plane rules are completely different in Canada.
Yeah.
But Splinterfest is just it's like a month away, and it's like, dude, this would be great. And so me and my partner were talking about it, like, let's meet up, let's go hang out, and talk shop in Vegas about a blockchain based game. Like, let's do it, right? I mean,
yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, there's something that I created for the event that hasn't been released yet or talked about yet. So hopefully, by the time that rolls around, people will see what I created. But yeah, no, it's exciting. Like I'm definitely an introvert, so going to Vegas is a thing in itself. But going to Vegas to go see other Splinterlands fans is going to be quite the experience for me personally. So we'll see what happens.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If I'm hoping I can get there, because it's definitely something I want to do, and it's the first one. I missed going to Steam Fest 1. I didn't get to. I only went to the Poland one, the Steam Fest 3. So I feel like this is a chance to go to Splinterfest, the first one, and really be part of quite the movement. Which is it's leading us up, not only, I want to get into everything you're doing and what you've been working on since we spoke last, but also this is really an interesting time for NFTs, specifically a blockchain based game like Splinterlands. Like you've been here since day one with the NFT stuff. You get it. You're well versed in this. What have you seen is the major difference from this time last year compared to now? When it comes to this stuff, specifically like Splinterlands with the community and the excitement, but it's no longer Bored Ape is not the talk of the town these days. Where do you feel this stuff is going right now?
I think like the NFT space as a whole right now is like needs a defibrillator or something, because it's just everything's so quiet, and
Right.
it seems like a lot of the hype is died down, which is great. I think on the Splinterlands side of things, they've continued to create and try to explore other possibilities within the realm of Splinterlands, and reaching out with the new soccer card set
Right.
project that they got going on, which is kind of like a splinter of Splinterlands. So they got a lot going on, and so it's kind of different because during the heyday that was last year, it seems like people were just you know knee deep in cash, like extra cash to be able to throw around because of the markets were so high, and all the stimmies and just like all the excess liquidity that's been thrown around last year, and this year it seems like people's belts are a little tighter. People are a little bit more worried about where they're going to put their assets, because right now we're in a bear market, and those that have been in this space for many years don't know how long this is going to be, because this one feels weird. That's all I'm going to say. That this one feels weird, and I can't put my thumb on it, but it just something's not right. Something's out of place. But it's just one of those things where at the end of this 5 years from now, we can kind of look back on this time, this bear market, and be like, those were the factors. But right now we're kind of trudging through the swamp like Atreyu and
Never ending story
there
reference.
you go. Never every story reference.
Wow.
So
Very
yeah.
nice. Very
So
nice.
So
hopefully
I think this bear market, one of the differences I see, and we've talked about this a lot on here, is the idea of risk on and risk off. And when we go back to 2017, that end of year bull run, then into 2018, the start of the bear, and it carried all the way through 2018, 2019. Crypto at that time was kind of off on its own, and it ran its own cycle. And this time, I think we're kind of paralleling at least the mega tech stocks. So there is kind of that correlation there. And so crypto is kind of moving, and maybe it's the institutions involved, maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but I think we now are operating kind of against the backdrop of what else is going on in the overall markets and the overall sentiment, as opposed to before, where it was just, hey, we pump everything up, and Bitcoin ran up, and Litecoin and my Steam ran up, and all this great stuff ran up, and then it collapses. And then the NFTs, I think it's just, that's even more embryonic than cryptocurrency. And I mean, that was just a collapse of a bubble and the insanity. And, all of us were sitting there, I mean, Splinterlands at least makes sense. I mean, we talk all the time about John, we talk about utility. At least Splinterlands, there's utility, but a lot of this crap, I mean, I was stepping back and sitting there saying, are you crazy? Spending, $100, $200, $1,000, $3 million on these things? I mean, what's the utility for them? Oh, you can put it on your profile. I mean, that really got everything in a nutshell. Was just nutty with the NFT. And I think it's a sector that is looking for, it's looking for use cases. And I think it'll find it. I think NFTs have a future. But right now, I mean, unless it's tied to a game, what's the use case? So that's my view as the difference right now.
Speaking of the apes, like I remember last year during like the heyday, I tweeted a post saying like, this is your time to sell your apes, because this is the top, and everyone laughed at me and thought I was crazy, because they're going to ride the apes to the moon, and so far I've been right. Will it come back up? I don't know, but I've been in collectible space for 30 years, so it's like you could see the parallels between NFTs and baseball card, comic books, Beanie
Right.
Babies, Hummels, like
Cabbage Kids.
Exactly. You could see like this pattern, this overarching pattern. And, I could have had Bored Apes really cheap. And there was a guy that was going to actually trade me some NFTs on the Wax blockchain for them. And I passed, because I'm like, I'm not going to trade you $1,200 worth of, assets for one of these monkey photos, like monkey images. And like, lo and behold, those things are probably worth, I don't know, 100 and something thousand now. But it's one of those things where if I would have traded for that project would have went to zero. That's just how, NFTs work. Everything we buy, it goes to zero. But the thing that we didn't buy that we passed up on is the thing that usually moons. So it's like it's like this dark joke that the universe plays on all of us when we're involved in this space. It's funny.
So so obviously the big brand is something like Bored Ape and all this stuff, but what are you excited about right now? What projects are you looking at? Like, I mean, obviously we're gonna say Splinterlands, and we're gonna be rah about it, but like other
Right.
things that you're really like paying attention to, because like you said, you've been in this collectible space for 30 years, you said it, and it's like, this is, like you said, the parallels are right there. So what are you looking at right now for NFT wise?
This is going to sound so horrible, but like there's nothing that excites me right now in this market. Like I'm still collecting some of the, small artists on Wax. There's a project on Wax called Clash Dome. They do like fun pool games, and I think there's like almost like a Candy Crush type game, and they're doing like play to earn stuff on Wax.
Right.
And I've kind of attached myself with what they're doing, and that's exciting. But right now, I would say like I said, this whole thing is just weird. You could buy like any NFT back in the day and flip it or whatever, and it'll be increase in value. It's like people are realizing like, oh, what is this whole space? What is this thing? So to be honest, like other than Splinterlands, there's really not much in the NFT space that I'm excited about, because there's really not much going on in terms of technology. I mean, it's all the same thing. It's all like Task was saying earlier, it's utility, like what could it do? And
Right.
unfortunately for the artists that are starting out, or any NFT creator that's a mom and pop, third party, they're going to have the worst time, because it's like even the stuff that I create, people are asking, well, what does it do? Like the SpongeBob meme, like, what does it do? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
for the most part, NFTs are art, but then again, there's other layers to it that, for gaming and stuff. So anyways, I'm not excited about what the current, landscape looks like for the short term.
Now, what about looking past the NFTs themselves? What about the development behind it? Is there anything you see that, in terms of game creators or app creators or anything like that, that ultimately could be integrated into NFTs, or have NFTs integrated into them? Do you see anything in that space that excites you?
See, that's a really good question, by the way. And unfortunately, I think our current regulatory environment doesn't allow for, projects to expand and stuff, especially like, let's talk about like, the App Store, Apple. You can't have any cryptocurrency kind of gaming things on their platform. And so I think that really stifles, the technology and people moving forward, because we're all kind of humans. We're all, we got the carrot in front of the stick. We need some sort of motivation, and usually cash, money, and profits are our motivation. And so I think like we're not seeing, especially the government regulation and everything. And I know crypto's like supposed to be, decentralized, and I get that, and I understand. Like even dealing with PayPal today, they put some of my funds on hold, and I'm like, man, with blockchain, you wouldn't even deal with this kind of stuff. It's so ridiculous
Yeah.
how the Web 2 legacy banking cartel, I guess, has kept the man, the peasants, down for, centuries. I'm sure they've done this for thousands of years, trying to keep people from, challenging their rule and all that. So to say short, to be honest, like what I'm looking at, I don't see really much not motivation, innovation in what, NFTs can do in the space. It's the same old kind of thing. Oh, exchange this for that, or put this in there, it does this little thing. We've yet to see, once the regulatory things are a little bit more clearer, and Apple and all these other places start to allow this, I think you'll see a huge expansion of things to do with NFTs and the technology.
Because that caters to the mobile market, and if you have the gatekeepers that aren't allowing it in, it kind of, you shoot yourself in the foot, and they hold a ton of power. They are the gatekeepers. And I think that that's part of adoption. We always talk about that in crypto. Like, it needs adoption, needs adoption. Well, the adoption is right here. It's on your phone. That's where it needs to be. So I hear you, man. I mean, I'm, I'm going to transition into Splinterland stuff because you know me. But this is what really attracts me to projects, not only Splinterlands, but like Hive in general and stuff like that. Even Wax. I mean, there's actual like use cases. It's not just a picture of a cartoon gorilla, right? With a hat on. Like it's actual. You can actually use this stuff. And I've had, my Splinterlands journey has turned into the collector starting, like the kind of like, I'm obviously not as well versed as you, but I did grow up where I wanted to collect hockey cards, baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, and trade them with my buddies. And I knew that certain cards, because there was less of them, were worth more than the other ones. So I got that, I understood it, but then it transitioned to the actual playing of the game. Now it's kind of like this three-pronged attack. I'm the collectible, I'm the player, but I'm also the investor. And I think that's where Splinterlands has really hit this sweet spot where it caters to all of these things, and you can still use the mobile app for it too. I mean, which is pretty cool. But yeah, maybe just let's dive into some Splinterlands news, gossip, scandal. How you feel the game is going. Obviously, Splinterfest we mentioned is coming up. They got the Genesis League soccer stuff coming up. They got the tower defense game. I mean, there's just so much to go over. Are you still thinking this is a pretty good bet, or are you just like, screw it, let's just go and get on?
Oh no, like I knew Matt and Jesse aggroed since the Steam It days, and they both had they still have good heads on their shoulders. So to me, going into the future with NFTs, I look to see like who's running the project. And Matt and Jesse have been like an amazing, force behind. And I think the main reason why I'm all in for Splinterlands is mostly because of Matt and Jesse. Over the last year, they've really expanded in terms of becoming a real true corporation and a business entity. They've grown leaps and bounds. Like for me, I'm a little worried too, because it seems like, they're becoming less and less relevant, even though they're the co-creators, they're the creators of this brand. It seems like, the corporation is kind of, and that's what they've always wanted. They wanted the ship to kind of run itself at some point. But for me, that's like a clear line that once I start to see Jesse and Matt start to fade away from what's going on, that'll be like the main like mile marker for me. Like, okay, let's kind of step back and see what's going on here with the whole project. But I think they have a really good staff, and it's just interesting to see like these two guys. And it was Nate too in the very beginning. I was one of the original hires. I was doing all their social media stuff in the early days. So it's crazy to see this like shoestring operation turn into like stocks in like an HR department, and like all this crazy, like, oh, I have to ask this person and this person and this person. Now it's almost like Disney. It's like, feels like the Disney Corporation a little bit now, but yeah, no, I'm excited about Splinterlands. I'm going to be all in till it's over. It's proven to be one of the best companies on the blockchain space. They're definitely innovating what they're doing, and they're on the Hive blockchain, and the Hive blockchain is run by some pretty, smart people too, that, pretty much have their shit together. And, they proved that when Justin Sun tried to take over Steam It, they weren't going to have it. And I think that was probably one of the most awesome moves I've seen in the space, is saying from someone like trying to take over with cash, like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna start our own thing, and it's been really successful. So yeah, so I'm all in for Splinterlands for sure.
I mean, personally, I'm beside myself with it. It's like, it's part of the joy that I have every day is poking around, and now I'm messing with, the liquidity pools and everything. And that's not even talking the NFT stuff and the gameplay. I mean, this goes into the GameFi stuff, which really sets up some, interesting potential. I've always said that, and I know there's people out there, but especially when, SPS was like almost $1. But there's people here that could really make a living off of this game, where it's a business. You can rent things. You can be a landlord, basically. You can put this stuff into these liquidity pools and just provide liquidity. You can play the game. I saw this one tweet. I know I'm guaranteed you saw it too, because Aggro, I think, retweeted it. But this guy was just doing his daily quests and, came up with like $3,000 worth of SPS.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
I mean, where do you find this? Like, this is just, it's exciting, and it's to me, it's still early. It's still early, and it's still, we don't know where this is going, but everything is pointing towards a pretty successful run here. So I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm enjoying it. So
yeah, no, we're definitely early, and I think you just basically laid out the definition of Web3. It's basically spending your time doing things you would normally do on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and actually earning a dividend or getting paid to,
right.
getting kind of something for your time. And I wouldn't doubt if we see more traditional companies kind of do this. Imagine getting paid to like go watch a movie instead of having to pay, like $15 for popcorn. Maybe you'll get an NFT or get like, a little bit of cryptocurrency for watching a movie or whatever. So I could see, the play to earn model reaching out to like a lot of different spaces.
Yeah, it's real interesting to think of the financial impact of like a Splinterlands when you look at all the different components, and you got the cards, you got SPS, you got deck, you have land, you can rent your cards, you can be a player, you can do all this stuff, you can be just an investor, walk up with capital, and then to realize, I know it was a lot of bots, but you're still looking at maybe 150,000 players, including the bots. That's not even on the radar in the gaming world. I mean, 5 million is a small game in the gaming world. So what happens if there's 5 million regular players on Splinterlands, which, I don't think in another bull cycle, if you get the excitement with that, plus the expanded knowledge of crypto, plus the expanded knowledge of GameFi, plus marketing that Splinterlands is doing, add it all together, and all of a sudden you could jump into the 3, 4, 5 million players. And what does that do to all these assets? It should send them all skyrocketing.
Yeah, absolutely. It should moon it. And by the way, that brought up a point like, they have an affiliate program. So if you can get your friends and family to sign up with the link, you get a little bit of a kickback if they purchase anything with credits. And I've kind of, in my kind of weird, entrepreneurial way, I got a website called playsplinterlands.com that links to my affiliate link. So if any I'm talking about, I just go to playsplinterlands.com. And I sell a lot of stuff on eBay personally, like baseball cards and kind of trading cards and things like that. So when I sell a video game or something that is parallel to Splinterlands, I've created promo cards that have my QR code for my affiliate link, and I insert that into the packages as like a collectible.
Nice.
And so there's like all kinds of things people could do to kind of, draw people to their certain projects. That's just one of the things that I did to kind of bring people in. And I've had a lot of success. Like I have a lot of affiliate link people that sign up, and, every time there's a new release, there's usually hundreds of dollars of kickbacks from pack purchases and things like that from those affiliates. And that was one of the things that really got me into the game early on too, is it's like, they're trying to build the game. They don't really talk much about the affiliate thing anymore, but because they're kind of so big now. But they've changed it was really lucrative back in the day. Now they've kind of done it where, there was people taking advantage of the situation, and they kind of changed it now where you can only get kickbacks if you use credits, which is, you can go from fiat to credits and then buy whatever you need to do in the game. But other than that, it's been a great experience with the affiliate program. And I think most crypto things should do something like that. I know Coinbase has like an affiliate link, which I think they turned off a few months ago during like the whole downturn of everything. But it's a good marketing tool for sure. So if anyone's starting a game or anything like that, definitely look into doing affiliate marketing for sure.
Well,
I love
what
the
I
cloak
find
link.
most fascinating about what you're saying and what I perceive to be Web 3.0, and I know Splinterlands is a traditional business. They got things copyrighted and stuff like that. But what I find fascinating is you could take a project and you see with Splinterlands, so many other businesses or projects open up around that as people start to say, I'm going to incorporate this into what I'm doing. And I think that's really where the difference between Web 2 and Web 3 is you go on Facebook and you do anything on Facebook, okay, you can do some selling and some things on there, but you're really limited. And if you cross a line, I mean, Facebook's just going to body slam you, or their attorneys will. But with Web3, it's like you want to go do something, go fucking do it. I mean, nobody's going to stop you. And as I said, with Splinterlands, you have some copyright stuff, but with Hive, you have no copyright stuff. With I don't think there's anything with CTP or Leo Finance or any of these other things. And if somebody wants to build a business incorporating either the token or the NFTs or whatever into it, go ahead, knock yourself out. It's all out there for the taking.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, there is still IP law and there's still intellectual property and everything. It's a little harder to kind of police that on, blockchain and Web3 and stuff like that. And I think, eventually all the legal things will be sorted out also, because I do believe if you've created something tax that you spent your whole life on, and then someone's going to copy it just to put it on the blockchain to avoid legal ramifications, I still think that's not cool. But in terms of Web3 being able to, the freedom of speech, kind of stuff is tremendous. Like you said, you can go on Facebook and get body slammed. You talk about the jab, or you talk about, certain presidents or whatever, you're going to get flagged and you're probably going to get shadow banned. But with, Web3, at least, you have a voice, and if that voice carries, it's not going to be kind of, put in a bubble and shoved in a closet. So I think for the most part, I believe Web3 is truly freedom of speech. And with Peak D and Hive and all the blog stuff, of course you can get downvoted, and there's all that kind of drama with, like, downvotes that shouldn't be downvoted and stuff. But for the most part, the community pleases itself very well on Web3. And I think that's one of the things that I gravitate a lot towards Hive is the community has a really good eye for being able to police themselves, without no lawyers or government intervention or any of that kind of stuff. Is true freedom of speech. So that's why I love Hive so much.
Well, I mean, talking to us about how much people love Hive. I mean, you're looking at
I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Were you looking for some blowback on that?
Yeah, no, it sucks. You should go to Ethereum only.
Yeah. Oh my God, Ethereum.
You won't get too much argument from us. But it's like you said, it's and I think this is, just going back to what you mentioned when you were talking about how you were cloaking the URLs and redirecting to your affiliate link and stuff like that. This is what I saw when I saw Hive, when I saw Splinterlands, well, Steam back then. I said, and this is great because this is definitely going to talk to you, the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. I mean, this is a place where you don't need to be a developer. You don't have to be the programmer extraordinaire. You just need to bring a little bit of hustle, a little bit of creativity, and you can build on here. Like you said, I mean, don't get any ideas, people that are listening, because this guy did it first. So you guys got to get your own idea. But I'm saying, just creating this and then putting on the back of it is your URL or your QR code.
Do you actually have one of those?
Yeah, you sent me a Dr. Blight, man. I mean,
there's different backs on those, so I wasn't quite sure what.
Oh yeah, no, I got it's got the QR code and the
Oh, perfect. See, so there you go. That's how you.
But that's like
one way to do it.
I got to ask you, did you ask for permission, or did you just say, you know what, I'm going to do this and promote my affiliate link? I'm going to promote the game in a cool way. Like,
yeah, I didn't have permission.
Right.
No, but I have a pretty good understanding with Matt and Agroad, and, they understand, like, this is only benefiting them too, bringing more people. It's not like I'm selling the cards or anything like that. And that could be a whole other thing in itself, which hopefully maybe that could be a thing down the road. Cause there seems to be a lot of people that collect those cards, those promo cards, And so, like I said, it is what it is. And you do have to be careful in certain, aspects of what you do, online and through Web3 and different companies. But yeah, no, they've pretty much allowed me to kind of promote their company in different ways that I do.
Do you see this though as like a place where, like, entrepreneurs can really thrive here? Like, what do you see, like, because there's always when it came to building businesses online, you needed to check off all of these things before you could even like get any type of traction. Now it's like you plug into this and you're into a community, into a passionate group of people. What do you see for entrepreneurs, like how they should be looking at this and approaching it, rather than just saying, oh, this is technology that I'm scared of and I'm just going to wait until everyone else figures it out?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just another spoke to the hub, the wheel. And if you're into marketing, it's a great thing for marketing. But it's not for everyone. There's the technology kind of cliff that you need to kind of learn, and the learning curve, I should say, to be able to do it. But I mean, the freedom's there. Like you said earlier, you have to have a little bit of creativity and a little bit of hustle. The community is built in, but you still have to make a name for yourself. You still have to work at doing what you're doing. So like if you're creating widgets or whatever, you still have to let people know that you're here. And by blogging and stuff, you can earn some dividends and, get people to see you. But it's a lot, I would say it's a lot harder now because there's just so much more people, but it's not impossible. And like you said, there's not all those roadblocks in just starting. And one of the tips I can give for anyone that's new to Web3 or Hive or anything is just kind of do what you like and do what you think is fun. Don't come into this space thinking you're going to make money, because that's you're almost like got one foot in the failure bin already. And I think a lot of us did that as we started off with being fans of whatever, or blogging about things that we enjoyed, and then eventually it became a thing. I'm pretty sure that's how this podcast and this video series started, was just you two guys talking, and they're like, oh, why don't we do something with this? And so, and that's how you should approach Web3, is not as like, not necessarily as like something to make money or whatever, because you're just going to let yourself down, because it's there's still that curve. But go into it thinking, this is just a new technology, and how could I express my creativity, and kind of go from there. And if you're successful, you're successful. If you're not, that's fine too. You can just move on to something else. But yeah, so that's like some good advice I can give to anyone starting out in this thing.
Sorry, go ahead, Task.
Well, I was just going to say, and you say it's not as easy because there's more people. But two things that I would say: that first off, it's still a lot easier than Twitter or Facebook or YouTube. Number one, and number two, there's so many different opportunities today compared to 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, when we're comparing the bear markets, look at where we are with Hive compared to where we were at the end of 2017. I mean, John and I were talking about this last week. It's like we had two tokens, Steam and Steamback Dollar. And now you got all these different tokens. Splinterlands is this behemoth, Leo Finance, and even within each of these areas, like Leo Finance, within Splinterlands, within CTP now, there's different things you can focus on. You can still do the traditional blogging in CTP or Leo Finance, or you can go into Listeners, or you can go into the DeFi, or you can go into whatever. And then, now you got, what's this, about the fourth card series coming out, or fifth card series. And then you got land, you got all this other stuff. And, Rising Star, I've seen a lot of posts about Rising Star. I don't know much about it, but evidently from the posts, that's becoming fairly popular with people. They're enjoying it. And this is just going to keep growing. So, yeah, there's more people, but there's also a shitload more opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when I kind of, this really hit me, and I'm sure you'll agree with this. When you start seeing businesses being set up from the original business. So what I'm talking about is Splinterlands is, like you said, this behemoth. But now what do you got? You've got there's two companies I know of that are set up that are actually managing rentals for people now. Like there's companies being set up to cater to the behemoth. And that kind of tells you that there is entrepreneurs that are really paying attention to this, going, guys, if we just get in here and start poking around, we've got potential to. And I don't know how much they're making. I mean, they charge like 5 or 10% or whatever, which is, it can be hefty if you've got a big collection. And I know personally, I don't want to go around renting every single card individually, so I'll pay the convenience fee. I have no problem. But that's just showing you how there is these entrepreneurs that are looking at this and saying, hey, we can tap into this. And I think it comes back to what we talked about, 20 minutes ago, where the utility, the use case. If you don't have utility, you don't have use case. It's almost like you don't have entrepreneurs. Like, you have hobbyists, if that makes sense. Like, you have people that go, oh, I can ride something to the moon because everyone else is doing it. But when you have use case and you have this community behind it with people that are actually passionate about it, you're seeing development of different business models and different ways to make money from this stuff. And that's what's exciting to me. So, I mean, again, I'm preaching to the choir here, right?
Well,
stuff.
I mean, Peak Monsters is a great example of a company that started from just, I don't want to, well, I guess piggybacking would be the correct term. It's kind of like a negative kind of connotation or whatever, but they've piggybacked off of Splinterland's success, and they've become successful. I use Peak Monsters, a few times a week to do my rentals. And that's another thing too. Like you mentioned, there's like a bunch of other companies that have spawned just to do the rentals.
Yeah, Splex. Yeah.
And so for those that don't know, real quick, Splinterlands is a game. It's a card game, and you own your cards through NFTs, through the blockchain, your digital ownership, and you're able to delegate those cards to other players and charge a rental fee per 24 hours. And so, like John was saying, there's like plenty of ways to make money with Splinterlands, and rentals is just another way. And what these companies have done is they've used their smarts of coding to be able to set up, scripts and algorithms and websites to be able to automate these processes. I don't use any of that. I still use Peak Monsters. I do everything manually because I don't want, even though you own the cards and it's your private key and everything, there's something about giving my cards to someone else, even though you still own them and they're locked and everything. Who's to know if they were to change something in their coding or whatever that blocked you from getting your cards back. I'm not saying that's going to happen because you own your cards and you delegate, which means you own them. But I'm just saying, I come from getting ripped off of like hundreds of $1,000s in like the early days of crypto. So like, I'm really like, I don't click links. Like I don't scan QR codes. Like I don't do any of that stuff because I'm so paranoid with everything. But like John was saying, just the company Splinterlands alone was able to spawn these kind of like spider webs of different companies that are doing fairly well. So that's amazing too.
Well, it's like an office building. You take a major office building and you have all these support entities tied to it. You got somebody to manage and rent out the space. You got maintenance. Then you go within the individual offices. There's companies that handle the coffee, companies that handle the copy machine, the computers and IT infrastructure. And all these support companies spring up around this centralized entity. And so it only stands to reason, the bigger that Splinterlands gets, the entity of Splinterlands, that team is not going to be able to handle all the services that are required that the user base and investors and collectors and whoever want, even if it is nothing more than taking one of the processes and streamlining it to make it a lot easier for the user and to save time. And for that, you charge a small fee. And like John said, just for the convenience, I'll pay the 5%. I don't care. I'd rather have my time. So, that's really where, as all of this stuff gets bigger, I mean, we're focusing on Splinterlands. So as Splinterlands gets bigger, there's going to be more opportunities for entrepreneurs and people who see a need in the market and say, I can put something together and fill that. And then, of course, that just like you were saying with your cards, that just feeds right back into the value of Splinterlands and makes the main entity that much more valuable.
Just the addiction is real. It just
it's a delicate ecosystem, and that's the thing too. Is like, and I don't, I feel bad for the companies. Well, I don't feel bad, but I can sympathize with, mad in any company that's doing a blockchain game like this, because you have the economies are so delicate that if you tweak one thing over, you push a little button over here, there's going to be another button over here that's going to pop out and can screw the whole thing up. So I think, for the most part, blockchain games, they're literally on a house of cards, and it takes like leadership and experience and all these kind of things to make this whole thing operate. And that's another thing that I think draws me to Splinterlands, is they have so many smart people in the organization that you'll never even hear of. You'll never even know their names, but they're back there pushing the buttons and making sure the buttons aren't popping out incorrectly on the other side. And it's incredible what they've accomplished over these last, God, it's been 4 years. Yeah, they just celebrated their 4th year anniversary, I think in May or March, maybe. Yeah.
So what was that? 2018. Then?
2018. Yeah.
2018, yeah. I remember when it launched.
So it wasn't even around the last time we entered the bear market. It actually came out in a bear market.
It was built in the bear market.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah. And we're seeing the same kind of thing now. Is like they're building, and that's another thing too. Is like being in the crypto space since 2012. There's so many patterns, and right now we're in the like pattern where everyone, like you said, Task, you've been putting a little bit for SPS. Everyone should be stacking right now and stacking, building, blogging, filming, tweeting, and just kind of just stacking your coins right now, stacking. So when that next bull run comes, hopefully, because that's another thing that's not even certain. That of course, everything goes up and down, up and down, and up and down, but that's not even certain we're going to see like a crazy run again. But we assume it is because of just how cyclical the universe is. It's bound to happen, but that's where we're at right now is the building phase. So anyone that's new and this is their first bear market and is getting discouraged, just remember, those coins could be worth 100 times more in 5 years, 3 years, 2 years. You never know. So just keep steady, keep focusing, and keep building, and you'll be fine. And just know that this is just part of the life cycle of crypto.
And I think in response to what you just said, I would disagree to a degree, or I would follow it up by saying, you're right. It's not guaranteed if everything completely collapses and we fall flat on our face. Other than that, markets being what they are, as long as there's development taking place, at some point markets get FOMO. To what degree, we don't know. How high it goes, we don't know. When it'll start, we don't know. But markets, they're driven by fear and greed. And at some point, the fear of missing out and the greed of I want more, those NFTs keep getting pushed higher and higher. Now, will NFTs or will the NFTs from before come back? Who the hell knows? I mean, Cabbage Patch Kids never made a rebound. They died, but the collectible industry as a whole has had its bull runs and its bear runs over the 30 years you've been in it. I think one big thing for crypto now is, and I've written about this, I think we are more getting in line with the business cycle because we have more business, because we have more projects, we have more companies, we have more entrepreneurs, we have more people getting involved who are creating use cases, creating stuff that has utility. Then all of a sudden you get into the business cycle where you mentioned earlier, liquidity is drying up. Yes, liquidity in the crypto world just got sucked out, and that's why the Celsiuses and a lot of these other companies are screwed, because they played the typical Wall Street games and were over leveraged, and now you're fucked. But the liquidity dries up, that makes it difficult for those looking for the VC money. But for those who are sitting there, like John was saying, the entrepreneur, where him and his business partner do basically what they're doing, the liquidity doesn't matter. And so they're just going out and building and doing and constructing and getting rewarded. And that's the difference that I see is coming out of this bear market, whenever that happens, we are going to have more projects that are legit, that actually have use cases, that actually solve problems than we did before. And I think that's part of that line that goes up. And yes, it goes, jumping around, but I think overall you can expect it. Now, the price of tokens, who the hell knows? I mean, that's just the market insanity. But from a business user, number of people in cryptocurrency standpoint, I think we're on a steady pace up. Yeah, it's going to fluctuate, and we know there's a lot less people in crypto now than there was a year ago, simply because token go down, I leave. Is the mindset. So I think it's just part of the maturation process of probably not crypto so much, but what's tied to crypto is probably the way I'd phrase it.
Chris, I got a question for you. It's completely different, but we like to think that these podcasts, it's not just Task and I, talking to guests and stuff, but there's actual value for people. So someone listens to this, they actually pick something up, they can use it for their day-to-day journey here on crypto. I want you to give people, because something you've done is like you said, like you mentioned that you've been here since 2012. So maybe a couple of tips for how you have your radar tuned to what's coming, what's hot, what's not. I mean, obviously I'm not saying price, we don't know what price is. Price can be whatever, but you were there early in the NFT stuff. You were there early in this social Web3 stuff. You were here early in the whole crypto stuff. What are some tips someone who's new to this, that's like, okay, this is a bear market, like, oh man, oh well, yeah, okay, so he said I gotta create and stack and accumulate, but what are some ideas or tips you can give people to have their radars completely in tune with what's coming next?
Well, I mean, I would probably say Twitter is a pretty good barometer of what's going on in the space, even though it's cluttered with so much junk most of the time. And so you kind of have to learn how to kind of filter out all the garbage and bullshit. But I would say like it comes down to like the old 30s trope where when the shoe shine guy's talking about stock tips is when to get out. So it's the same analogy with crypto, is when you start to hear people talking about it that normally don't talk about it, and you kind of see little things here and there. That's when you know that we're about to get into another cycle. When everyone's talking about it, like when it's on the Super Bowl, that's when you got to get out. but
Wait, hold on, you got an arena in downtown LA right now that's got a big brand on it. Is it time to get
that's crazy.
We got it in Miami, the FTX.
Right, the FTX thing, down in Miami.
Yeah, all the umpires in Major League Baseball wear FTX logos on their jerseys too. It's crazy. Wow. So, I mean, there's really not much you really can do as someone that's new into crypto other than just putting your ear to the ground. And I know that sounds like so like, well, duh, like, but there's so many nuances to that it's almost like you have to play the game to understand the game. And for those that are new, they're going to have to get ripped off. They're going to have to experience ecstasy with the price that 100x to understand like the next cycle, like how to react to the next cycle. I remember in 2012 when I got in, I did all the crazy run up to whatever it was, 1100 or whatever for BTC. And then it crashed all the way back down to, I don't remember, it was like 100 and something. Like I remember those days, and I carried on, in the future with that. So anyone that's new, keep your ear to the ground, kind of do as much research as you can, like legitimate research, not like what neighbor Bobby's saying or whatever, like, look at white papers, see who's behind a project. Cause that's another thing. There's so many projects that come out and they just have like these mystery, weird people that you've never even heard of, or you can't even research them. Try to stay away from that kind of stuff, but also use your gut too. Like some of those projects could be, the next Bored Ape Yacht Club or whatever. Just keep your ear to the ground. That's probably the best advice that I can give to kind of signal what's happening next. Read the tea leaves.
Well, I think one of the nice things about Hive is if you're new to crypto, first thing is you learn by doing, because you come here, you enter your posting key, you put up a post, you get some crypto. Now you have to learn, what do I do with it? Do I sell it? Do I swap it for something else? What do I do with it? And so I think that is very helpful. And then the other thing is you see people talking about on Hive about different crypto projects. And again, you got to go to the source. You better know who you're listening to. But there's a lot of times some very people who are astute at looking at what you just said, and they will suddenly put together an article or video saying, this is garbage and here's why, and this is what I looked into and this is what I found. One thing that you being in it so long, I'd like to have you comment on. What do you think of the technology? Because crypto is programmable money, it's data. What do you think of the technology of crypto and how that's changed from when you got in? Obviously, smart contracts were a huge innovation. And what do you see going forward? I mean, is there anything from a technological standpoint that you may have come across that you say, you know what, that has a lot of possibilities?
Well, there really hasn't been much that has changed since 2012, other than things have gotten a lot more secure. I remember like there was no Coinbase, there was no, I mean, there was exchanges, but for the most part, they were all rug pulls, and especially Mt. Gox is a great example. Cryptsy is another great example. That's the exchange that I got ripped off on. The technology really hasn't moved forward, other than, like you said, smart contracts with Ethereum started. I think they were one of the first to do smart contracts, and kind of we see like, a more of a everyone moving into proof of stake, which is, I want to say like Steemit and Hive were the major factors in proving that proof of stake is actually valid and viable. And it's kind of sad because no one mentions it because now a lot of people, even Ethereum 2.0, I think is moving into proof of stake. And so, Hive and Steemit will probably never get the just dues that they need for pretty much, I want to say like they were the blockchains that really showed that it worked. But other than that, I mean, the future technology is like, what do you call it? Quantum computing at some point is going to be an issue. Artificial intelligence at some point is going to be an issue. And I say an issue because it kind of challenges our standard ones and zeros, our basically binary coding that we have now. It opens us up to not only things that can go horribly wrong, but things can go horribly right too. So as far as like what's happening now, the technology's always kind of stayed the same: proof of work, proof of stake. But quantum computers is going to be something because it's going to be able to hack certain algorithms and things. And AI technology, that's going to be another scary thing. If certain AI programs become a little bit like not aware, like conscious or anything, but at least self-governing, and they start building out with themselves, and it could cause like a mess. But I'm just curious to see how quantum computing and AI is going to affect blockchain down the road. And so, like I said, that's the future, and so we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there, I guess.
It's yeah, it's who knows where this stuff is going. I mean, I think that's part of, and coming from your background of being an entrepreneur, it's kind of the punches you roll with. And, you're not always sure what's going to be hot, what's not. You just you got to adapt, and you got to learn how to roll with it. Before we get out of here, because I know that you got some stuff you got to do. I'm looking behind you, man. I see Slave One and I see a Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Well, I think I saw Slave One. I don't know if
No,
it wasn't.
yeah,
But I saw
there's
Boba
no
Fett.
Slave One here. Yeah.
Well, I thought over there that it looked like it, but I saw Boba Fett. So what are you working on, man? What do you got going on in the collecting space, the NFT stuff? What's on the blockchain cards agenda?
So first I'm in my office. I'm taking a lunch right now. I work for the American Cancer Society. I run their eBay business. So we have an eBay page. You can go to cancer.org/eBay. Money raised goes to help fund, cancer research and housing and a lot of great stuff. It's my 9 to 5. I basically found my dream job of 35 years of doing collectibles and things like that and selling on eBay since 1995. So that's what I got going on right here in the background. So if you're wondering, I even got the shirt to prove it. But nice. That's what's going on right here. But as far as my personal stuff on the blockchain, I have the blockchain card stuff, and I'm in a little lull right now. I'm working with other artists to kind of release their work on the blockchain card. It's almost like I'm an upper decker at Tops, where companies and artists come to me, and I somehow, we come up with a licensing agreement, and then I release it through the blockchain cards company, and then they get a percentage and all that stuff. So I've been kind of working with different artists behind the scenes and trying to get them onto the blockchain, and just kind of doing my own thing. I do a lot of, virtual and real life. Like basically you can take your NFT, exchange it for like a physical card I can mail to you. And so I've kind of, been in the forefront of, a lot of that stuff on the WAC blockchain. And I could just see more of that kind of stuff happening in the future. But for right now, I'm kind of like in the under the radar mode with everything that I'm doing. I'm still working with artists. I'm still coming up with different little fun little series on the Wax blockchain, and I'm still doing Hive stuff, Hive blogging about my Splinterlands journey. I'm still doing DTube. I'm taking my YouTube videos and putting them on DTube, and that's been very well, earning some dividend on that. And just kind of just staying under the radar right now, not really poking my head out. But Splinterfest, I'll be there. Hopefully you guys will be able to see the stuff that I created in the swag bag. So it'll be pretty fun. So that's what I'm doing right now.
I got to know, man, because you're in the collectibles, man. How do I get a hold? Do you have a store or something? Because I'm looking for Josh Allen merchandise any way I can.
Oh no!
To feed my next edition was the Buffalo Bills. So
I think check the local dumpster behind the Chinese restaurant.
Listen, did you like your Week 1 win, New York Giants? Because that was courtesy of us. You're welcome.
One question I do have for you, Chris, and just because we saw a mad rush, and it reminded me of the 1990s and 2000s with all these people setting up a website. What with you being into the NFT space, and we got a big rush of celebrities into the NFT space, and selling their NFTs, and now the market popped. What do you think the future is with NFT celebrities, personal brand, that type of thing? What do you see unfolding in that area, or is it still really up in the air? I mean, if I was a celebrity, or if a celebrity came to you and said, "Listen, you're in this blockchain stuff. You've been in a long time. I got I'm so and so, and I'm a major movie star." What would you suggest to them?
That's a really, really good question. I would probably start off by making some sort of merchandise that once someone purchases an NFT, they'll have an NFT, and maybe like a coupon NFT that's good for an autograph, or maybe even like a personal meet and greet, something like that. I think, the novelty of NFTs are wearing off in terms of just the 2D aspect of them. I think we're going to start to see a lot more, music and video NFTs and things like that. But for a celebrity, I would probably have physical things that people can redeem. There's another thing that you can do is you could probably start your own token. Now there's laws with security laws and everything in the US for that. So they would probably have to lawyer up and kind of do that right if they're going to make their own celebrity coin of sorts. And then you can use the coin to exchange for different products and services or whatever. Maybe, go see a screening with them, or go, have a movie night with the so-called celebrities. And that's probably what I would do. And I know that's very low hanging fruit, and it's pretty obvious when you really think about it. But in terms of other things they can do, that's beyond my scope of understanding, till the technology changes and the regulatory things become more clear.
Excellent.
Perfect. Dude, appreciate the talk always. Always love having you on, and hopefully I get down to Splinterfest, man, so we can
I hope so too, man.
I can bug you for some Josh Allen stuff and some more Splinterlands merch, right? I mean, so
I'll keep it. How about I'll keep an eye out. I don't think we've ever had I've been doing this for 4 years, and I don't think we've ever had a Josh Allen or any Bills stuff actually come through, or even New York Giants stuff come through here. I'm in Burbank, California, like outside of Los Angeles. So we'll see like Raiders stuff, maybe San Francisco 49ers, Rams, but none of that stuff. But by the way, congratulations on your Bills. My son is in he's in high school, he's a senior, and he's doing fantasy football for the first time, and Bills are his team. He's got a lot of the offense and defense, so he's watching the Bills and rooting for you guys.
Smart kid. Yes.
So how many Super Bowls have the Bills won?
Oh, we went there.
Didn't they win some in the 90s? One in the 90s?
No, we lost 4 in a row. In the
Oh, that's
90s.
right. That's right.
Yeah. Epic.
Yeah.
Epic losses.
Was it Jim Kelly? No, not Jim Kelly.
Yep.
That was Jim
Kelly,
Kelly.
Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas.
Munson.
Yeah.
Thurman Thomas, rather.
Thurman Munson.
Thurman Munson.
That would have been incredible. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Zombie.
Yeah, man.
Maybe Thurman wouldn't have missed wide right.
That was Scott Norwood, but that's
I know, but maybe Thurman Munson would have kicked it straight.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Jeez. Okay, guys. Like, why is this against the Bills now?
No. John, you're due this year. This is your year.
I hope so,
You're
because
due
I've
this
dealt
year.
about 30 years of being a fan of this team, and it's been misery. So,
John, I will say this, my team, and the high point of our season was probably this Sunday.
It was great.
That was the high point of our season.
Oh, I'm rooting for the Giants. Don't worry, dude. They're
not going very
light,
far.
man. That's anyways. I'll talk sports.
Great,
your ears
Chris.
off.
It was great having you on.
Thank you,
Thank you
gentlemen.
for taking time out of your day to join us.
My pleasure.
Appreciate
It was an honor.
Site of Splinterlands and what's going on, and we'll have you back again with. I'm sure there's going to be more Splinterlands announcements and NFT stuff. So
cool.
Probably.
Later.
John will want to talk about it.
Oh yeah, dude. I'll talk anything.
No problem.